Okay, the goal of the next step, step 4, is um, to basically get the calculations for our product mix for the month. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to start with our step 3 output. I'm just going to make a copy of it. We'll call this step 4. Um, we'll call it sales mix per month. Product sales mix per month. There we go. And then I'm going to open that and I'm going to basically do some calculated columns in here. Bring it into view. There's our sheet that we have. And remember, we got a row for every month and year. Then we have our products across the top. So what we want to do, we want to get our denominator first. So I'm going to call this our monthly revenue. Well, I'll just call it revenue, but understand that this is the revenue across all products for the month. So I'm going to just sum that. Once again, I just summed across the entire row. Oops, I went too far. Let's try that again. So I'm going to go sum, and I just want to sum the revenue of all the products for that month. Last time I included the year, but I don't want to do that. There we go. So now that becomes our denominator. And what we want to do with this is we want to divide each of these product revenues by our monthly revenues so we can get a percentage of sales that that product represented in that month. Now again, this is going to be more straightforward if we just use regular Excel cell referencing. Right now it's a table, and as you can see here, if I double click in here, that the references are different in a table. Those aren't letter number references. They use the name of the table and they use the column headers for the references. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click somewhere inside my table, go up to table design, and I'm going to convert it to regular Excel cells using this convert to range. It'll warn me. I'll click OK. And now if I take a look here, hold on. There we go. Hopefully that does the trick. Did that do what I wanted to? Yep. And the way we know that is because now when I click inside here, there's no more table design. So that's going to make it just a little bit easier. And all I'm going to do is calculate percentages here. So I'm going to go take that and divide it by my revenue. And as I copy this across, I want my column to be able to flex. Actually, I want to always come back to column S. So I'm going to lock down column S, and as I copy it down, I want it to move down. And one thing I do often, just to see where I have to end, I'll just copy all these because I'm going to do it for each of those columns. There we go. So I'm just going to copy that all the way over. I can get them all. Looks like it. And then I usually just double click the last one to make sure it's behaving like I want. I wanted for 800, the percent sales mix of 800, it's going to be 800 divided by the revenue, and that's the cells it's referencing. I'm going to highlight all those again and double click to copy it down. And then I'm just going to replace my actual revenue with this. If you needed your revenue, you'd want to keep it in there. And so you could keep that in there, but I'm just going to go ahead and, so I copied it and then I'll hit Control Alt V. Oops, I gotta get in the right place. I want to start there. Control Alt V, and then I'll click on values. I just want to paste the values in there. And then at that point, this revenue, remember it's summing across the rows, the columns, and I get kind of a sanity check that all these percentages in every row add up to 1 or 100%. Then I'm just going to delete these other columns, And there I've got my product sales mixes every month. Now what I want to do, and I want to load this back into Power Query so that I can unpivot these columns, because I'm going to want these product numbers to be vertically oriented, and then the values also to be vertically oriented. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go data from table range, and it'll bring this in. Click OK. So it's coming from the join data, and so that's the one I want. Let's see, and it's called table 1. So these will often be the same. So I just want to make sure that I've got stuff that looks like, let's see, those look like revenues. Let's take a look at table 1. Those look like percentages. So I'm going to use table 1. And so what I want to do now is I want to just start right there. I'm going to scroll across and hold down Shift and select the last column. I'm going to go to transform, and I'm going to unpivot the columns. So now this is my product ID, and this is my, I'll call it sales mix percentage. So this is something then that I can load into Tableau, and I can actually create some interesting plots so that I can see sales mix across time. One last thing I'm going to try to do, maybe I'll do that later, but I may need to bring in my month and year, my date, so that I can blend these a little better. So I may need to transform that so that it's an actual date. And there may be some other things that I want to blend in. So I may want to bring in inventory information, and we'll do this in the next step. There will just be kind of a bunch of housekeeping items just so that we can get things to look prettier in Tableau. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and close and load that. Wait for it. There we go. And we'll just call this sales mix like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and save it as step 5. Sales mix. There we go. And that completes step 5.